Jerry, you saw something.
I watched a beginner's guide to endings, which I saw on Netflix and read it, and it sounded good. A dad that passes away is what the title or whatever read, and then whatever he did passes on to his children, and they have to take the brunt of whatever happened. Yeah, when the father kicks the bucket, 3 unexpected brothers learn that the dad's gambling and reckless ways doomed them all to die. It sounded interesting, and then I watched it, and it was all right. It's Harvey Keitel as the dad, and the dad is what it says, and he's like a liar all the time. And he
is that Jason Jones from Daily Show? Jason Jones?
Yeah.
And Scott Conn. I love Scott Conn.
He's a funny guy. J.K. Simmons?
J.K. Simmons.
You find out that the dad got, like, to make money by testing drugs. He gives them to his kids at a young age, and then he finds out, or he gets the money from it, gambles it all away. It's like $300,000, and he gambles it away in like a day. Yeah. Well, to find out the pills that his kids were taking when they were younger to like adults, like deteriorates your heart. And so they think like, oh, well, we're gonna die like soon. Like, and that on his will, he's like, by the way, kids, you're gonna die. Albuterol or whatever that I gave you is gonna kill you. And so the 3 brothers are like coping with it, and then so one goes on like a bucket list and spends all his money, quits his job. The other one is the other one's trying to find the love of his life that he left a long time ago, and then getting back. And then the other one's coping with being going to be a success, and then ends up being a failure in life. He was supposed to be this pro boxer, and then he finds out that his dad rigged every single one of his boxing matches. His nickname is call him his balls, because every single one of his fights, out of like 21 fights, he ends up getting disqualified by getting hit in the balls. And so they call him balls. Well, his dad paid off people just to hit him in the balls so he get disqualified. Because apparently you find out that the dad has just fucked him over, and like they're finding out like all their bad things. That the dad dropped him on his head a few times, and he's got like a hole in his head, and if he gets one hit in the face, he's gonna die.
Oh my god.
So that's why he paid people to punch him in the balls so the fight would end. So he's got this undefeated streak of like 21-0.
Wow.
But then you find out, like, as the movie goes on, that the mom's like, no, I wasn't going to let my kids take some test drug. I put Tic Tacs into it. And so then, like, everything comes together at the end, where the youngest is going to finish his life by... He bought the barrel that went over the Niagara Falls and was going to do it himself with no... And so he's, like, in the barrel about to go, and the mom's like, get out! And she goes to pull it, falls in, and then this whole weird event that the dad predicted, apparently, that the son was going to do it, and then the dad tries hanging himself, and it fails, so he goes and just jumps in the Niagara Falls River. Well... he's got the rope around his neck with the stick still from the tree. It gets snagged on the log, so his body was never recovered. So it's been floating under the thing. So the barrel gets caught on the noose. The body of the dad finally lets go and like shows a sign to the youngest son, who's about to marry this girl who's like about got him killed by her ex-boyfriend, who's this giant man, like biker dude. And then he sees the dad's body, and then is like, oh, my dad will, well, just show me a sign that if I should do this or not. And then the dad's body flies over, and it's just a weird.
It sounds quirky.
It's quirky.
Yeah.
It's all right. It's not the greatest, though. I gave it a 3 stars.
Sometimes
It's got
just give
four.
shows
It's got a 4.5 recommended for me on this.
Yeah, but your taste is terrible. I think
Apparently.
Thank you. Someone else. I was getting tired of saying it.
Thomas,
All right,
you can go fuck yourself.
Well, actually, speaking of fucking yourself, didn't you watch Hansel and Gretel in The Last Stand?
Yeah, that's appropriate phrasing.
How'd that go?
God, no, it was pretty bad. Entirely predictable. I watched it actually with a friend.
How was Hawkeye? He was Hawkeye.
Yeah,
Was he pretty much the same dude?
Yeah, everyone's speaking with accents except the main characters, of course.
All right.
And then,
How about you stick
no,
your
literally,
fingers
the
in me
beginning
bum?
of the movie, they show what happened to Hansel and Gretel as far as when they were led into the woods and just left by their father.
Who was ironically, it was Paul Walker.
The first time I saw their mother, I immediately, she's a witch. It was
Burn her!
No, it's
damn it.
no.
Tell me to
Spoilers.
It's a spoiler. It's a predictable film though. If you've it's very predictable.
Did you predict that really weird awkward brother sister laying around towards like 2/3 of the way through the film?
Where
Wasn't
he's
that
on the floor and
yeah,
she's
there was
on
floor
the-
stuff. It was
Well, she's-
weird.
Was it like weird, like Gladiator weird?
No, thank God.
It
Did you
wasn't
predict that they were
overt,
the
but
best
it's-
witch hunter catchers in the world, and then when it came time to catch a witch,
They were
just
shitty at it?
Yeah,
like,
it's just they just like use ropes and guns
and
and
get
that was it.
pulled
There's-
around through
there's-
the woods at 90 miles an hour and
there's-
somehow not get hurt.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's that
And
actual
bad.
part where he's getting dragged by a witch through the woods.
Ugh.
He's literally like hitting logs. I mean, we're talking
crashing through logs.
And then
But he's just a dude,
where
just some guy.
I actually slapped my face was he hits his head hits a boulder on the way by,
Dead.
and he's oh man, just still hanging on.
Oh, dude!
Yeah.
Yeah, in real life, you'd be
ruined my
dragging a
butt.
limp body back there.
You know, and even as far as monster movies go, there's almost too many inconsistencies when they're fighting the witches.
Yeah.
You've got at one point the witches are moving at blinding speed where you can't even see them coming, and they're super strong and have magic. And
Sounds like me.
They're one, you know, and then they have another point where they're just wrestling around on the ground with them like it's just a regular fight. It's just. I can't really recommend it.
I remember thinking as I was watching it, like, this isn't terrible. It's not the worst, but like the further I get away from it, you know, months after seeing it, I just don't have any good memories left.
Yeah, because I think you reviewed this when it was in the theater, correct?
Yeah. I don't know. I probably gave it like a thumbs up or whatever.
I think you.
Like a hearty thumbs up. Like, this movie's the best.
I think you didn't like it back then either.
No,
It was awesome.
The acting's horrible.
It's bad.
The action is subpar. I mean,
Totally agree.
They have maybe a few like, oh, that was kind of cool, but it certainly isn't enough to save the film. The plot, like I said, is entirely predictable. I don't even really want to go through it. They are witch hunters. That's all you need to know. That's kind of how shallow the movie was. So, you know, I guess if you want to watch.
Look at all these.
Remember? Yeah, I told you that. I saw at least
You can rent Hansel and Gretel,
Get baked.
2013.
From 2013. What
Warriors
the fuck?
of Witchcraft, Hansel and Gretel, which is another
2012
low-budget remake.
2013.
Hansel and Gretel get baked,
baked.
which I guess.
So
Yes.
So
There's
Warriors
smoke on
of
it.
Witchcraft
It's a stoner
must
Not
fairy
be,
tale.
rated.
the Warriors of Witchcraft must be the one that they quickly made.
Yeah,
Hansel
it looks,
and Gretel.
it looks exactly
2007. That's a foreign. That's a
with Boo Boo
Oh,
Stewart.
That looks better.
Now that one might be
Korean?
good.
Fuck yeah.
It's Korean, and
That's it.
It came out well before the American
All of
version.
this
that
crap.
looks good.
I bet you that one's a good movie.
We should do that.
Is that
Write
David
that down.
Bowie in the other one?
That's
The-
good.
The Get Baked.
Whoa.
Was that David Bowie?
Look at
Yeah, and then
that
you
list.
saw the Arnold Schwarzenegger. What was that? Gee
The Last
whiz.
Stand,
Oh
which
my
I've
God.
I reviewed that
Yeah,
also. On
we've seen that.
I was actually, when I watched it, I was hoping to get that feeling back when I watched, because I enjoy old Arnold Schwarzenegger movies. Like, I enjoy the cheesy action, the cheesy lines, the plots that weren't too thick, but it was just, I can watch an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie and be like, yeah, that's the stuff. and then I watched this, and it did not pull me in.
I
It
think
didn't
Lewis
bring me
said that
back.
he was a lesbian looking in this.
Doesn't he
movie.
look like an old lesbian? Like an old, tired lesbian?
Possibly. No, for me it was the internal inconsistency. The film just from shot to shot and scene to scene was disjointed, and they didn't actually stay consistent when people were shot or hurt or anything.
You didn't like it when they were switching from the FBI agents back to the guy in the car, back to Arnold Schwarzenegger.
3 completely separate locations. They weren't. Yeah.
Well,
exactly.
I don't think it was enough to confuse a viewer, but it just kind of. Like you're kind of like, oh, okay, and you start watching a scene and then it's like bam, and it sends you to another kind of half-ass scene. So you're just kind of like
they're not connected.
And the twists and turns were just nonsense.
No, twists and turns. There aren't any. It was just ridiculous. And the final scene where they're on the bridge together, give me a break. That guy's neck broke.
Yeah, he body slams him and breaks his neck. And in the next scene, the guy's just trailing behind the car all tied up.
Let's not forget, he dragged this guy through a cornfield all the way back to town, and he probably got stabbed and cut on his legs probably at least 5 times. Yeah. No biggie. No, it didn't hold up very well. It's not the Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. Quigley Down Under.
If you've never seen Wind Talkers with Nicolas Cage, this is Nathan's looking at
I'm just looking. Yeah,
I heard it was horrible.
I like to add things based off of other things.
It's directed by John Woo, who made some really good movies before he came to America.
Like Replacement Killers. Sorry.
Like Hard Boiled. Have you seen Hard Boiled? Or The Killers? Those movies are good. Watch Hard Boiled, seriously.
The Killers. Which one's The Killers?
The Killer.
Oh, The Killer.
Yeah, I'm sorry. But yeah, Wind Talkers was terrible.
Face Off?
Face Off? That's already in my queue.
Yeah, he did Face Off. He did Hard Target.
2.
Hard Target was his first American movie.
That's the worst Mission Impossible.
Are you serious?
Shut up.
That was the best.
That was the worst one. It was terrible.
It was the best one.
It was terrible. Oh, wait. Let me rip my mask off. Everybody was wearing a fucking mask, and it was stupid.
Mission Impossible.
It was stupid. It was not Mission Impossible. They do it one time in the first one, and the second one they overdid it, and it was retarded.
Okay, but do you remember the scene?
The motorcycle chase trumps all of that.
When he takes the mask off.
It's a 30-minute motorcycle chase.
Takes off another mask?
No, he takes the mask off, and the bad guy looks up, and he sees Tom Cruise walk by in slow motion with the fire and the dove that flies by in slow motion.
Oh my gosh.
The reflection in his eye and the fury.
That one is...
Actually, go back and watch it.
Okay.
You'll be surprised how terrible.
Because I watched that one in the I watched that one in the movie theater and walked out of it. I'm like, that's the best motorcycle thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, I know. And then I watched just a scene. It was on like TBS or something, and I watched like 10 minutes of it.
Because they cut out all the good stuff.
Every line of dialogue is the worst thing you've ever heard.
What about the third one?
Which one is that?
2 was worse than all of them.
And the one where the chicks.
And
then her she just goes.
I thought the third one was okay because I like Philip Seymour Hoffman.
The third one's okay. 2 is shit.
2's the worst.
That's what I'm saying. 2 is the worst.
I don't believe it. You can't go wrong with a Tom Cruise movie.
Yeah. No, 2 is a bad movie.
You hated Jack Reacher.
2 is a bad movie, but
I'd rather watch Jack Reacher. That's for sure.
Well, Jack Reacher is a good movie, but 2 is, I'll admit, it's a bad movie, but I enjoy it nonetheless.
That's okay. You can enjoy it.
If you want to watch a good Tom Cruise movie, you go watch Days of Thunder.
Legend.
Best. Cole Trickle.
Have you guys seen Legend?
Yeah.
That movie's not good.
Legend is terrible.
But the makeup is amazing.
Yeah, it was.
But that's not a reason to watch it.
Tim Curry.
It's
Tim Curry, yeah.
I think, 45 minutes of the movie is like him in the woods following that fairy thing.
Yeah. It's amazingly not good. What is this movie? How did it happen? So, boy, we saw them. Should we just get into homework? We've been talking for like an hour.
Which was...
Young Adult.
Young Adult.
Kim,
What'd you guys think?
Oh.
You tell me.
Didn't like it.
Yeah.
So what did you not like about it?
Her character was too unrealistic for me. As far as, don't get me wrong, I agreed that there's people in her situation where they're in their 30-something and they have this dream where they're going to move to the city and they're going to be a success. They're going to get out of the small town, and that that's believable. The part is how delusional she is, like. And her delusions are based on nothing. Like, she's living in one of her books. She's a book writer, obviously. Right. But
she writes young adult fiction, which is the title.
Yeah.
So, and pretty much you can tell right off that the books are actually about her and the way she perceives school or high school. But it just like the way she's reacting and the way she like there's no bridges where she was jumping to these conclusions as far as about him feeling the same way about her, like she's going back for long lost love or whatever. But
which was really creepy.
I think it's meant to be.
But it wasn't because he was encouraging anything. It was all because she made it up. She'd been living in these weird fantasy things. She was incredibly unhappy in her place. You saw her shit apartment.
No. I saw but what I mean is, I'm not even asking for like this sturdy bridge where he's like coming onto her at all. But anything from like friendly gestures that you would give, like that's plutonic, like I would have accepted. Like, but it was just. Like her way of thinking just didn't make sense to me, and maybe that's why. I mean,
okay.
I enjoyed it like at the beginning, and then it just got worse and worse and worse to me. Like I thought, like I was like, oh, this is gonna be pretty funny. Like when she gets up, she just goes in the fridge, grabs the diet soda,
after brushing her teeth,
greedily chugging it.
Brushing her teeth. Yeah, I was like, okay, I see where this is going. This is gonna be okay. And then she just became more and more of a twat.
I love Patton Oswalt.
And I was just like, God. And then I'm like, okay,
Patton Oswalt.
She's going to find, and then she meet, the nerdy kid of the school or whatever. And I'm like, okay, and then she's going to turn the whole thing around, and she's going to change, and she's going to find out that and then she just goes right back to being a twat. And I'm like, this didn't end in any good way. And like, it's supposed, like, the end's like, well, she's just happy the way she is. Fuck you!
Well, another problem is supposedly everyone was worried about her, and yet you see all the women gossiping behind her back. Yeah. Like it doesn't sound like they're being so very supportive to me.
Well, it's like the high school still.
Yeah, it is, and I think that's part of the show is that people are immature, they're selfish, and they don't want to change, and people don't grow up. And I think it's incredibly realistic. No, I'm not saying that it necessarily made for a great film. It was like like so for me. I wasn't totally impressed, but I thought who she was. I think people like that exist.
I was just going to say, I've really met people like her before.
And I think we get Patton Oswalt as a voice of reason, kind of like grounding her in this reality of his horrible life, right?
And just a horrible human being overall.
Yeah.
And the fact that she thought she was the queen of the high school, and therefore she is a queen, right?
Yeah.
And now she's come back to this town, and she's almost surprised that everyone's just not in love with her.
Yeah.
So I took her, thinking that the guy would fall in love with her just because. Of course he would. I'm still the hottest shit around.
Yeah, why wouldn't she? Why not
the
now?
one thing I did like about the movie, though, and it's not like a big deal, is and it speaks a lot about her acting in general. She's not afraid to look unattractive on screen. Yeah. And what creeped me out and what kind of put a bad taste in my mouth, but at the same time it was because it was so realistic. It wasn't just the hair pulling, but her transformation as far as when you see her and she just doesn't even care about herself, and then
walking around in sweats and t-shirts and shit.
But then like the hair extensions, you see her doing her makeup, like the stuff you don't see girls do
when that part came on, my wife was like,
she'd specifically buy to look really nice,
kicking that on.
But I love that actually. There's a very specific scene built into that movie where she goes from just gross to made up, like really heavily made up, and you see her putting on her face like just paint, literally just, and then you see her putting on hair extensions and so forth and eyes, and you realize she's putting on an image. She's trying to become the person that she sees herself as, but deep down she knows she's a depressed person. She knows she's alone.
Alcoholic.
She knows she's an alcoholic.
The film is really sobering. I mean, it's
sobering and it's depressing, and it's not also the comedy that we're expecting, which might be why it's hard to like the movie.
For me, I laughed the hardest at the opening credits. I thought the opening credits were so funny. Yes, she kept on rewinding. But when it got to written by, and then it says Diablo Cody, is like, oh motherfucker! Shocker! I'm not gonna like this movie.
That's the same thing that happened.
I
you
wish,
know what? Me and Derek
I wish I would.
it.
I wish I wouldn't have seen it.
Came up and he walked out.
So why?
He's like, I'm not watching this pile of shit. He hates Juno. He hates everything that Diablo Cody does.
This is her story. I think this is Diablo Cody. She was probably, I'm just guessing here, probably kind of popular in high school, went away, became a big thing, went back to her hometown and realized that things had changed. And then maybe she's coming to a conclusion
things changed without her. Yeah.
I think that she wrote it as the woman that the popular chick is jealous of, because I think that the whole thing is like that one girl in high school that was popular. This is how shitty her life is.
I think Diablo Cody is the popular girl in this story. I do. I think she's being edgy by cutting herself down.
Right. Well, she's. I've actually I've heard her on interviews and stuff. I've heard her in interviews and stuff, and everybody's like. Or she's like, I make movies that, or I write movies that like interest me. I cannot figure out what the visceral reaction to me is. Like, I do not understand why people like literally tear me apart online for no apparent reason. I can't figure it. I'm like, well, did you watch Juno? But she's like, I'm like, well, and after that, I'm like, well, now I don't hate you as much. That sucks, but. People have like a reaction to her.
They do.
What,
for no apparent reason, really. I mean,
as far as this film goes, like what were they going for? What was the hook, the grab? Like, because obviously it wasn't you can't.
It was hard to categorize what it was.
It's like a drama, and
it's like a dramedy, maybe at best.
Yeah, I don't know what they were trying. What the appeal was.
It's one of those midlife crisis movies where you just have to watch somebody dealing with
go
their
through
midlife
something,
crisis. And at times it's interesting, at times it's funny, but watching somebody fall apart or be broken is not necessarily
that you're just supposed to feel bad for the girl. That's the whole movie. It's just
but you yourself earlier,
you can't walk away from it feeling bad for her, though. I didn't feel bad for her at all.
She didn't learn her lesson.
Pile of shit.
Yeah, she kind of.
She was on the verge of learning the lesson, but then that one girl talks her out of it, right?
She's like her ego.
But that's the thing is, she's like, well, you're in this great thing. Just take me with you. Everyone here is just a pile of shit. You should stay.
You belong here.
Like, fuck you.
Maybe that's the point of the story, is that she became this terrible person back in high school because
and can't undo it.
Well, no, because girls that were kind of the loser girls, the nerd girls, fed that. You know, they would be like, "Oh, you're so pretty, and I wish I was your friend." And so she'd be like, "Oh, I am pretty. I am the best." And then she comes back and she starts to realize, maybe I'm not. Maybe I'm just a person. And then there's that person feeding that ego
right into it.
She goes right back to her
whatever happened
ways.
in the end was like the only thing that was resolved is the fact that she is now completely over that town. But she's still the way
she's going to go continue being a pile of shit in the big city.
But she's just no longer going to look back.
Right.
What could
She'll try to look forward, but still be a piece of shit.
And a movie like that can be really hard to swallow.
Yeah.
Because you feel like no one learned their lesson.
Well, it feels like nothing got resolved. Mm-hmm. You got presented with a bunch of shit, and you're like, oh.
Just because we don't like the ending, because it's more realistic, doesn't mean there's not a resolution.
Yeah.
I'm sorry,
right.
but I think
resolved.
It's kind of too real, and we get pissed off because we wanted her to learn her lesson, but she's just who she is. But guess what? Everyone's who they are, and they're not going to change.
And it also kind of seems those type of girls, it seems like if you were to track them for 5, 10, 15 years, that would probably be the resolution that is reality with those types.
Maybe that's why we're frustrated, because it's too true of an ending.
Yeah, maybe.
You know, the ending actually is what really happens. Because how else do people continue being douchebags all their life?
They continue doing what they do.
Yeah, somebody's feeding that on some level. Because if enough of us were like, stop being a douchebag, eventually people would stop. But there's just enough people that give them
and then like at the party after the whole drink thing, and she's just being a drunk twat. Then she gets to go
lay with Patton Oswalt or whatever.
Well, like during that thing, like if that was a party and everyone's just like looking at her like, oh, she's just breaking down. Like, why? If it was at least real, like. If I was there, I would have been like, well, fuck you, fuck off. Let's go back to what we were doing. We're focusing on this child, not this dumb fucking bitch who's trying to ruin it.
Yeah, that's one thing I didn't understand too. Like nobody stood up to her, just allowed that to happen the whole time.
Allowing her to just sit there and vent and just blah blah blah, and it's like just no one put on her.
Like I could see a group of people not wanting to say anything while she's unraveling, but as soon as she's like, "Fuck you," I would have been like, okay. There. First of all, children, earmuffs.
Yeah. Exactly.
Second of all, how about fuck you and get the fuck out of here? Like that's not how adults
children
work.
Earmuffs.
Oh yeah, Thomas earmuffs.
Oh.
Sorry. I'm sorry.
Speaking of Thomas, I think he needs to give us some homework.
Oh yeah.
Yay,
We have not
Thomas
had
homework.
Thomas homework in weeks, and I'm feeling the effects.
I've got Thomas withdrawal.
I did a lot of research. I spent
Thomas
2 minutes looking at Netflix.
It's trending on Twitter right now.
Seeking Justice. It is a movie. I have a good feeling about this movie.
Oh,
Nicolas Cage.
What?
It's gonna suck.
January Jones,
my least favorite actress of all.
Is that his raped wife?
Guy
oh my
Pearce.
god, that's horrible.
I love Guy Pearce, and you know what? Jennifer Carpenter's a really good actress.
So
she's from Dexter.
I think this is his comeback tour.
She's the chick from Buffy too, right?
Jennifer Carpenter's the sister in Dexter. That's all I know. She might be in Buffy.
Oh,
right?
no, you're thinking of someone else.
If this is too small for you to read,
Charisma Carpenter.
The synopsis.
Oh no, I just read it.
No, well, for the listeners or readers that can't.
English teacher Will Jarod is approached by a man with vagina group offers.
That's grade A stuff.
Glad we read that to people who can't hear it. We just all mumble this week.
Because it just went to just garbage.
After his wife is brutally raped, English teacher Gerard Butler is a man from a vigilante group who offers to exact revenge on the perpetrator.
Because it just goes to garbage.
What's these? That doesn't matter.
I don't know. That sounds horrible. But
the group
wants something in return. Oh my gosh, you're kidding me!
You guys are knocking it before you try it.
You know what?
We're not knocking it.
Yeah.
We're having fun with it.
We're looking your way, Thomas. I hate End of Watch or fuck you End of Watch or whatever the fuck you said.
If January Jones is the wife that gets raped,
you're okay with it?
That's what I just said.
It's going to be the least convincing rape ever.
Yeah.
No, I think Lewis is going to be like, yes, rape!
No! Rape, what?
She's going to be doing stuff like this.
Fuck her!
Jesus Christ.
Kim's going to be like,
down a notch.
God! And Lewis is just like, take it! Take it like you did!
No, she's just a piece of
X-Men, you bitch!
Yeah, she's so bad. She's bad. She's the worst actress I've ever seen.
She's a cardboard piece, you know?
Ooh, goodness.
Can't wait for that, Thomas.
Oh yeah, January Jones. She's the love interest of Stifler on American Wedding.
Who watched American Anything After Pie? Come on, give me a break.
American Wedding is the funniest one.
No, it's not. The funniest one. 5
American
stars.
Pie 17 is the
American
best one.
Wedding.
No, the first
6
American
stars.
was the good one. The rest of them went to shit.
Actually, and we could all throw out our favorite. I would argue that the best Friday the 13th is part 7. By that I mean,
that deserved the tumbleweed. Did you hear that silence after that? Yeah, tumbleweed. There we go. Yeah,
I need
thanks,
to figure
Lewis.
out how to make that
you get the
bigger.
first tumbleweed.
No, follow me on this.
There you go, full screen.
No one would ever. No,
You're gonna save this as a favorite? No, continue.
No, okay, so my point is,
Yeah.
what you do is you pick your favorite Friday the 13th, but who would think 7's the best one, right?
Lewis.
I would, obviously. Don't you ever have a series where you love the one that no one's ever even
they
heard
loved
of?
2.
Yeah.
Mission Impossible 2.
I think my favorite one had to... Actually, it's not even like a good one. It's awful, but the end of it was that Jason X... where he goes to space and like they have the simulated program
and
with the
like
girls.
We're
just naked girls out in the middle of the woods. What will we do? Like it's completely throwing out there, and like she hides in the sleeping bag, and Jason grabs her in the sleeping bag
and just starts beating her against the tree.
That happens in 7. That's from 7. That's one of my favorite moments.
It's just hilarious because she's like, "Ow!"
She's not naked. She's just in
It's so amazing. That was so.
See, now that's what I'm looking for. Is picking like Jason 10. What's your favorite Friday the 13th?
Oh, God.
Have you seen any of them, Thomas?
Jason goes to hell.
No,
Freddy versus Jason.
I like the reboot.
I honestly don't know.
Did you see the reboot?
Which one was the one with the boat?
All
that one.
All of them?
I think the very first one.
That's the one.
The big boat, and he
goes to Manhattan.
I like the one with the boat.
Someone stabs Jason in the eye in that one too. I can't remember. It's the big tanker.
New Blood's on Instant Q. It's the best. They've got superpowers in this one.
I was actually thinking about doing Vampire in Brooklyn.
Ooh!
Oh wow!
Oh my God! Was that what's his face?
Eddie Murphy.
Eddie Murphy.
You have to admit, it's the only Eddie Murphy movie where he doesn't.
He's got hair like Samuelson.
Come on, admit it.
Who?
He's a smooth Jamaican.
He's got like that super curly.
To be fair, Jared, you saw my choices.
All right, so homework.
I think it was Human Centipede.
Seeking Justice with Nicolas Cage, 2011. Good luck to everyone out there.
Yeah.
Yes.
Watch it.
Yes. I wish you.
Thanks, Thomas.
Bid you adieu and good night. Good luck. Well, it might be. I didn't hate Young Adult as much as it sounds like we did, but I do not like.
I thought it was
Diablo. To me, it started out good and then it just went to shit to me.
Yeah.
Like if you played it, I guess in reverse.
Patton Oswald's a redeeming quality of that.
Movie.
If he wasn't in it, I would probably have really not enjoyed it.
He's great. He's great in it. That kid should be in more movies.
Plays a great character. I love him anyway. So.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, that's our podcast. As always, leave comments below for tell us how you feel about the show. Give us movies that you want us to talk about.
Oh yeah, Oscar. We didn't get to Oscar this week. Sorry, crap.
We gotta get to Oscar.
We'll get to it. Sorry, Adam.
Sorry, Adam, but we're not watching that shitty movie. Anyways,
it's on Watch Instant, by the way.
Don't forget, watch Human Centipede, Kim's favorite movie.
Yes.
And have a wonderful movie.
Holy shit. Thanks for listening, guys. Check us all out at timespentpoorly.com.